Today, we have two big bad characters going up against each other from the One Piece and Naruto verse. We got the strongest creature in the One Piece world and a Yonko of the sea, Kaido, versus the ghost of the Uchiha Madara. I'm going to be scaling these characters to the best of my knowledge using feats and facts to determine who would win a hypothetical deathmatch. As we all know, Madara has many forms as he progressively gets stronger throughout the war arc, but for this video, I'm going to be using the Edo Madara variation, and if you're wondering why, just stick around till the end to find out. So without further ado, let's dive in. When scaling Kaido, his best display of feats are shown in his fight against Luffy in the Wano arc. And Kaido doesn't just scale to Luffy, he knocked Luffy out multiple times in their long battle, and it was only until Luffy awakened Gear 5 and having to hide if Kaido did he win. That said, both of these characters at this point in terms of AP should scale to the multi-continent moon level ranges as I had scaled them before. Kaido in this fight could even lift the entire island of Onigashima and keep it afloat for the entirety of his fight against the worst generation and eventually Luffy. Pretty much for the whole of Roof Peace, and even though he eventually lost, he could majorly push back Gear 5 Luffy's barge and gun, which is an island-sized fist thrown at light speed, which should also be in the multi-continent ranges as well. Kaido at this point had already taken damage from so many characters on the rooftop battle, and only until he was on his last legs did he get taken down. In terms of speed, Kaido is pretty much at the top of his verse, scaling to characters like Big Mom and can effortlessly tag Gear 5 Luffy, who was using Future Sight to predict Kaido's attack but still couldn't dodge most of it in time. Of course, Kaido himself has Future Sight, so I guess this ability will make it easier for him to react, dodge and follow up in combat as well. And scaling to Luffy at his top speed would easily put Kaido in the FTL ranges, and accompanied with his observation haki, his overall combat speed is ridiculous to say the least. Now in terms of durability, Kaido is the textbook definition of a tank. The dude is pretty much the most durable character in the entire verse, possibly in all of One Piece, with Gear 5 Luffy and Whitebeard being arguably on the same level. This man Kaido fell from the Sky Islands, which is above the clouds, all the way to the ground in a suicide attempt, and there wasn't a single dent on his skin, and this was a base Kaido, who gets way more durable in his hybrid form. The dude's skin is so tough, he forced the MC to learn a new ability to bypass his durability just because of how hard it was to damage him, and in the Roof Peace battle, he tanks both internal and external damage from all of the worst generation members without getting defeated for the most part. So yeah, I don't think I can stress enough how durable this dude is, and it makes sense because not only is he a beast man, which is a race of super strong people in the One Piece verse, but he's also his one Devil Fruit user, which literally amps the body to a new level including his toughness. So yeah, Kaido is a freak show. For the most part, he's a raw power based fighter, but he has some hacks abilities like Real Haki, which helps him bypass durability and damage people on the insides. He also has Future Sight, which helps him see a couple of seconds into the future to predict opponents' attacks. I might make a separate video on him on this channel, he's one of my favorite villains in One Piece, so we'll see. Moving on to scaling Madara, and like I said, I'm going to be using the Edo Tensei variation in this video, so let's go. In terms of attack potency, Madara should easily be in the moon level ranges to planetary, scaling above KCM2 Naruto, as well as the full Nine Tails. When he arrives in the war arc, this dude straight up yanks 2 meteorites from outer space and drops it on the entire Shinobi Alliance, and this is a feat that has been calced to be in the multi-continent ranges. And Madara did this without his perfect Susanoo, by the way. The force of the meteors were so crazy, its impact to the land caused earthquakes with tremors felt all the way at HQ, which was literally an entire country away from the battlefield. And of course, it doesn't stop here as Madara was just taking a piss. He proceeds to fold the entire 5 Kage while fooling around for the most part of the fight, and then when he pulls out his majestic attire, the shockwave just from unsheathing the sword could bisect a couple of mountains across the area. It doesn't end here as Madara will go on to join Obito in another battlefield, and then he fights KCM2 Naruto, who he completely bodied without using his perfect Susanoo. Naruto at this point had harnessed the full power of Kurama, who can destroy the planet, unlocked KCM2 and bullied 5 Bijus, deflecting 5 Biju bombs without even trying, and then overpowered theirs with one of his own. And then Madara, without using his majestic attire Susanoo, could defeat a much stronger KCM2 Naruto, who was fully clad in his Kurama avatar. So yeah, Madara is just a beast. In terms of speed, he's fast enough to easily react to the Raikage, so much so that he couldn't land a single attack on Madara by himself. And the Raikage is so fast that even in his base form, he can simultaneously attack while moving at Mabui's light speed travel. Yet Madara made this guy so slow in his lightning chakra mode, Onoki had to lighten him to amp his speed many times over just for him to keep up. And this is highlighted even further when you realize that Madara could casually react to and tag KCM2 Naruto, who in a much weaker form of KCM1 could blitz and outpace the Raikage at point blank range at his top speed, so you see the consistency. In terms of durability, Madara has the Susanoo, which is a complete hack in itself. He can tank attacks from the 5 Kages pretty easily. He can brush off an Odama Rasengan from Naruto in the War Arc. Tank the multi-continent cataclysm of the Ten Tails, which completely overpowered Naruto's KCM1 cloak, by the way. He can also tank Biju bombs as well, and this is all without his majestic attire, which rivals the strongest Biju. To now make matters worse, he's an Odo Tensei, which means he's got unlimited regeneration and stamina, and he cannot be put down unless his soul itself is obliterated, so basically he possesses some level of immortality here. Madara having a lot of raw power is also backed up with his ridiculous hacks. I mean, the dude has 2 of the most powerful dojutsus. With the Sharingan, he has analytical multi-step recognition, giving him the ability to predict an opponent's next move before they even successfully pull it off. He can also read and copy movements with his Sharingan, and he has the Genjutsu as well, which gives him the ability to manipulate and control people's minds, warping their 5 senses. And as an Edo, he would possess the Rinnegan, which means he has the 6 parts abilities like Jutsu Absorption, Animal Summoning, Body Morphing, Gravity Manipulation and Body Reconstruction, as well as Soul Extraction. I almost forgot about that. And because he's got Hashirama cells and fully assimilated with it, he can use wood-style techniques and make wood clones, which are all relative to him in power and ability. So yeah, the dude is basically a cheat code. Now, after assessing and analyzing these 2 characters pretty calmly, it goes without saying that Madara should take the dub mid to high difficulty in all fairness, especially with Kaido's durability. I'm not going to sit up here and act like Kaido is a scrub, after all he's on par with Gear 5 Luffy, and he's quite literally the most durable One Piece character, but the thing is he just can't beat Madara. Debatably, their attack potency is comparable, both of them have multi-continent level feats pretty easily, but Madara should still scale higher definitively from being superior to KCM2 Naruto, who should be in the planetary ranges as I've previously scaled before. And even if you talked about speed, I'm well aware that people tend to overrate the speed of One Piece characters to MFTL. And usually they do this using multipliers, but what they don't understand is that I can do the same for Naruto characters. For example, Naruto in KCM1 could blitz the Raikage, and then KCM2, which is like many times faster than that, couldn't even tag Madara. And the amp between KCM1 and KCM2 is hundreds to thousands of times over. I mean, a much stronger KCM2 Naruto could amp over 10,000 shinobis 3 times Kakashi's chakra in the war. And Kakashi at this point could already perceive and keep up with FTL characters like Naruto, Obito, Killer Bee and my guy. Yet the much stronger Naruto who amped the entire alliance couldn't even defeat Edo Madara. So before you all use multipliers, make sure you think about that. I prefer to use feats which are much more consistent, and by that level of scaling, both Madara and Kaido can be scaled to FTL plus using their feats. So obviously at the very least, these 2 would be able to tag each other. Now, what could make the difference for Kaido here would be Future Sight, which gives him precognition, but him being comparable in speeds to Madara kind of reduces the input of this ability. And along with the fact that Madara himself also has precognition using his Sharingan, so he would also be able to read Kaido's movements as well. And while Kaido has some of the deadliest attacks in the One Piece verse, on top of that, being able to neg durability is just a killer move. But this is completely useless here as you'll be fighting an immortal zombie basically. It's so crazy. Not only does Madara have the Susanoo, which can block Kaido's attacks, and before anybody brings up the stupid argument of Kaido being able to destroy Madara's Susanoo because Tsunade did it, you might need to keep quiet with that nonsense. That was only Madara's Ribcage Susanoo, which is literally Susanoo in its weakest and least durable form. It still has like 3 forms higher that raises its durability, and it's not even close. Tsunade had to go into her strongest form just to destroy a Ribcage Susanoo, while she couldn't even dent the walking Susanoo on a wood clone Madara sent to fight the 5 Kage. So y'all gotta get your facts right. I say that shit all the time and it irks me. The only Kage who could even damage Madara's Susanoo was Onoki, who initially had to amp the Raikage's attack power using weighted boulder jutsu, and then later using the particle style, which literally erases matter to a molecular level. Keep in mind that the Raikage can physically brawl the Hachibi, the 8 tails, but he couldn't even put a dent in Madara's mini Susanoo by himself, so y'all better keep quiet and remember that before downplaying any of these guys. Moving on top of all the crazy shit that I just said, on top of having Hashirama's regeneration, Madara is also completely unkillable as he would have unlimited regeneration as an Edo Tensei. So everything Kaido does will ultimately be fruitless, like in no reality was Kaido ever going to win this fight. On the other hand, Madara has a bunch of ways to take Kaido out that I can think of. For one, his attack potency scales higher, so he will be able to damage Kaido with his attacks. And before you make the argument that maybe his physical hits like kicks and punches wouldn't affect Kaido because of his durability, that's something I can see happening possibly. But once Madara pulls out his Susanoo, then it's chow time on Kaido. With just his incomplete Susanoo, his blades will, without a doubt, pierce Kaido's skin, not to talk of when Madara brings out the majestic attire, which literally alters the terrain just from his shockwaves swinging his swords. If Madara swings that blade on Kaido's head, it will split it open and scatter it, best believe. Madara also has the wood style in this form, so he can use attacks to bind Kaido's arms and restrict his movements to make it easier to crush him or land Susanoo attacks. The dude can literally flood the entire landscape with super strong trees using his deep forest emergence. And before you argue that Kaido would destroy the wood bindings, remember that he could fully suppress KCM2 Naruto in his Kurama avatar. And before you say, oh, it's because he drained his chakra, no, it's not just that. It's because he was also physically strong enough to do it. If not, Yamato would also be able to bind the full 9 tails. Madara can also use Genjutsu on Kaido, which is pretty much an instant GG for him. Not only did the guy put the Raikage under Genjutsu, and it was actually Madara's clone that did it. That wasn't even the original. Madara's visual prowess is strong enough to put the full 9 tails under Genjutsu and pretty much turn him into a pet. Even in the war arc, this motherfucker was literally going to summon the 9 tails and use it to destroy everyone. Madara is such a bully, bruh. And before you say, oh, Genjutsu doesn't work on Kaido, he can't work on Kaido because of Conqueror's Haki, he has future sight. None of that nonsense, I debunked it before. None of that nonsense is gonna happen. Genjutsu will work. I've made videos on it before. I can put the link in the description. Just go watch it. Genjutsu will work on characters outside the Narutoverse. So with that, Madara can just put Kaido under Genjutsu and drop the multi-continent meteors on his head. Tengai Shinsei on his ass. That would be really funny, not gonna lie. Kaido is just there paralyzed from being in a Genjutsu and Madara just drops meteors on his head. That's funny. Madara is also way smarter than Kaido and he has way too many hacks abilities to destroy him. He can even rip out Kaido's soul using the Rinnegan. So there's just no way out for Kaido in this fight. The giveaway should have been the fact that he's stronger than KCM2 Naruto, who I absolutely think is defeating Kaido. On top of that, he's now immortal. What's Kaido supposed to do? And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm using Edo Madara here for the reason being that it's his weakest form. Yes, even weaker than the alive EMS Madara that summoned the 9 tails and faced Hashirama. That's why when he got revived, they could bust out of the deity gates that pinned down the 10 tails. And Hashirama literally states that he's beginning to regain his past strength, meaning the nerf the Edo Tensei had on them was still significant. And this just goes to show how much stronger these Naruto characters are in comparison to the One Piece characters, cause I can barely get Kaido past Edo Madara, which is his weakest form, so how is he supposed to defeat alive EMS Madara or revived Madara or even 10 tails Madara? I can't pair him up against Jubidara because that's obviously a low difficulty storm. It's OD at that point, it's not even a fight. And there's obviously people out there that think Kaido even has a chance against Jubidara, but clearly them men are clowns, so I would easily take the piss here, but I don't need to. My analysis already speaks for itself and Kaido is my guy. So I think he's already taken enough L's in this fight. So long story short, Edo Madara takes the W versus Kaido. He stomps 10 out of 10 times in a fight, mid to high difficulty, arguably because of Kaido's durability and speed. But ultimately, no matter what he does, he's getting folded by the ghost of the Uchiha. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.